I want to hurt him.
Yeah.
That's my mentality right now going into this fight, because I really want to do damage.
He's definitely gonna get punched on. I feel like, you know, he's a lot of heart. He's a lot of heart, and I think that's why he switched back. He had the Cuban coach, and I feel like that wasn't gonna work out well for him, because I mean, he can't learn that type of style that, you know, the Cuban coach is teaching. That's more cultural, more, you know, rhythm and things like that, and things that I feel like he don't have. You know, he's a more of a, you know, kung fu fighter, you know, hard, you know. And, you know, I feel like he's pretty good. He's good. You know, he beat Terrell Goucher. You know, he beat Tony Harrison. You know, I think he beat them on the back end of their career. But, you know, I feel like this supposed to be his coming out party against me, so I'm super excited.
I'm expecting the Errol Spence I was fighting.
Yeah.
Kell Brook back in the days, you know, that type of fighter, but we shall see.
When Tim Tszyu and Errol Spence Jr. finally faced each other, the atmosphere altered almost immediately. Every trace of cordial respect vanished as soon as they began speaking, giving place to intense competition.
Tone, but he's very good at that.
Yeah.
You know, and it drowns you.
Yeah.
He's got a very stiff jab, and the jab is very consistent. So I think that's probably going to be the hardest part. But yeah, this fight is going to be a relentless style for me. I'm looking to just bring the heat.
Yeah.
And let's see if he can match it.
Yeah.
Man, I really don't care. I mean, I'm excited. I dream about stuff like this, man. You know, it kind of give me chills now, coming out and everybody booing. They get me more pumped up than anything. People booing, throwing stuff, you know, angry. That really takes the nervousness out of me. It's like, I'm not nervous anymore. Like, people booing and saying things and yelling and screaming. That's like the movies we used to watch as kids, old Spartan movies and stuff. Like, you going to war. So, you know,
Tszyu didn't hold anything back. He told Spence, looking him in the eyes, that this return would leave him with only one regret. He said that rather than going directly into the ring with someone who is determined to show that he is still one of the most dangerous fighters at 154 pounds, Spence should have gradually returned to boxing with a tune-up. However, Spence was determined to respond to those remarks.
you expect all-out war. Me, I think a one-sided fight. I think he's gonna give it everything that he has, but I'm definitely gonna put on a great show and show the fans of Australia, show the world that Errol the Tszyu Spence is back, and y'all will respect me after this fight.
In your mind, I know you said about breaking Errol, but in your mind, you must feel like this doesn't see 12 rounds on your side.
For sure. That's what I'm going for.
I was reading an interview done with Sporting News Australia, I think, and you said about beating him better than Crawford did. Is that also the mentality in your mind as well?
Well, that's his last hooray that he had, you know? I want him to come back to the memories and do it quicker.
He retaliated right away, certain that Tszyu would not make it past the third or fourth round. Only a fighter who still sees himself competing at the highest level in spite of everything that has transpired in recent years would hold such a belief. And to be honest, that's what makes this battle so fascinating. Since losing against Terence Crawford in 2023, Spence has not engaged in combat. Most fighters would have picked a safer opponent to regain their timing after being out of the ring for almost 3 years. Errol made a very different decision. Without a question. Without a question. I have a few boxing-related questions for you, Boom. Man, how do you think the bout between Tim Tszyu and Errol Spence will unfold?
No doubt. Bo Mac, I just want to ask you a couple things in boxing. How do you see the Errol Spence Tim Tszyu fight playing out, man?
Oh man, that's gonna be a great fight. If Errol gonna be himself, he should win. But we don't know what he got left.
Yeah.
So, but if Tim come in and be himself, he'll push Errol to the edge.
Do you think that's like a true 50-50 fight, like a crossroad fight for both those guys?
No, I don't think so. I think Errol probably will.
Think Errol?
Yeah, I think he probably will.
I say you still got the juice.
I say, you still got the juice. He did 200,000-300,000 views in a week or whatever it's been, 2-3 weeks, and the episode is still climbing. But I'm seeing all the reaction, I'm seeing all the headlines, I'm seeing all the stuff. I say, Errol, you still got the juice, because the boxing community, sports community, they leaning in saying, man, what is Errol Spence talking about, man? I want to lean in. And the takeaway was 90% solid, but we just wanted to address the 10%. We don't always like to address the 10%. We shouldn't address the 10%. Matter of fact, we should walk past the 10% most of the time, but every now and again, we got a little bit of time. And today,
instead of choosing the simple route, he took on one of the most difficult tasks. That choice indicates that he still thinks the former Errol Spence is still alive and prepared to reintroduce himself to the boxing community. Tszyu, on the other hand, is unfazed by prior successes or championship history. He admires Spence for taking up the challenge, but he also thinks the former champion's comeback couldn't have come at a worse moment. This is the reason this conflict is so risky. There is an abundance of confidence on both sides. One fighter is certain he's going to put an end to one of boxing's greatest comeback tales before it really starts, while the other believes his experience and championship pedigree will propel him back to the top. All of a sudden, July 26th seems like much more than a typical fight night. With everything on the line, it feels like two careers colliding.
he said, still wishing Errol Spence the best in his upcoming fight. I see what y'all are trying to do. We a lot smarter than y'all realize. He said, but it's not going to work. Not this time. I appreciate that from Terrence Crawford. And I called Errol and I said, Errol, hey man, focus on the 90%, bro. Don't focus on them 10% because the 10% can seem very, very loud. I don't understand where they coming from. I said, but we, your peers and the people that get it, we respect you, bro, because that was the biggest moment of your professional boxing career that had been talked about for years. And it didn't go your way. That was a devastating loss. And you took that, you shouldered that like a man, and you never made one excuse. All we did was sit and talk about it and have a real conversation, and we invited the world in to our personal conversation. So Errol did nothing wrong. Errol didn't make any excuses.
The plot then got even more intriguing. Terrence Crawford entered the conversation right after Spence and Tszyu exchanged knockout predictions during their intense face-off. He didn't say anything offensive, but he somehow made the situation worse. The first thing that caught my attention was how fast Bud disclosed his position. He acknowledged that he would be going to Australia to help Spence. To be honest, I respect that, since far too many individuals act as though friendships vanish as soon as competition enters the picture.
Big dog, you got anything in closing? Anything we didn't have?
Nah. Just I'm definitely a fan of boxing. You know, I'm gonna be in Australia. I'm gonna be.
I know you're gonna be over there. Yeah.
I'm gonna be supporting Spence, rooting him on.
Yeah.
You know, I just like to support, you know, fighters in his own right. I done been in Boots' locker room supporting him. You know, so yeah, it's just crazy how the tables turn. You know, when people get to a certain plateau and they forget about things like that.
We picking Errol?
Crawford clarified that boxing will always be his favorite sport. He reminded everyone that he has backed numerous fights during his career and that, in his opinion, loyalty shouldn't vanish just because some individuals on the internet disagree. He even made a joke about how they'll probably have to confront you face to face after everything that was said. However, that is only a portion of the game. To be honest, that's the proper mindset. Without taking it personally, you can pick one warrior to prevail. Crawford added that fans abroad frequently disagree with respect. It's true that some people view a straightforward prognosis as an insult.
I look him in the eyes like, yo, I know you heard everything I said, so.
I told him to his face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's cool. It's cool to be, see, and this is what I don't understand why people take it so hurtful. When we in like England and places like that, or overseas, like they tell you, and it's okay, like, hey, you're a great fighter, but I think he's gonna win. Yeah. Afterwards, it's all cool. It's just a opinion that they have.
People argue over viewpoints for so long that they forget that no one can really predict what will happen after the opening bell. Additionally, Crawford emphasized that if your prediction is incorrect, accept it, congratulate the victor, and move on rather than offering justifications. That kind of thinking could help more fans. When considering the wider picture, one thing becomes clear. This battle is extremely difficult to predict, even for those who are closest to boxing. Despite the long layoff, Crawford thinks Spence still has enough to win. Many others, however, believe that Tszyu has the advantage due to his recent activities and enthusiasm. That's precisely the type of argument that results in memorable fight nights. When there is disagreement among those involved in the sport, you can be certain that something exceptional is about to occur.
And for me, when it goes the other way, I say, hey, I wasn't in that man's camp. I don't know what he was up to. I wasn't with him the night before his fight. I don't know what he was up to. When he went
That's an excuse. You make an excuse.
When he went in the ring and did something I didn't think he was gonna do, I ain't know.
No, you gotta just say I was wrong. Just say I was wrong. Congratulations.
Hey, be easy, bud. We'll see you next week.
Then Brian Mendoza entered the conversation with an entirely different viewpoint. Mendoza provided something far more valuable, personal experience, while Crawford backed Spence out of friendship and conviction. In fact, he shared the ring with Spence, which immediately lends more weight to his viewpoint. Mendoza's rejection of the notion that Spence is merely coming back for one last paycheck truly drew my attention. That's not the fighter he saw, says Brian. He clarified that Spence continuously modified his strategy overnight, making each sparring match more challenging. Imagine making a perfect shot one day, only to find out the following that your opponent has already figured it out. That is not an indication of a faded veteran. That's evidence that his boxing IQ is still quite high. Mendoza also brought to everyone's attention something that many fans fail to see. Spence was an Olympic-caliber fighter with remarkable technical abilities before he gained notoriety for his unrelenting pressure and vicious body attacks.
Errol Spence, for those that think that he's done, he's just showing up for a check. I've heard that a lot. A lot of people critiquing. He's not working like someone that's showing up for a check. The work ethic I got to see in the couple weeks I was there, and obviously just from literally being in the ring with him, sharing the ring, working with him, there was adjustments every day. He's not someone that's just showing up and just, clocking in and be like, all right, let's go through the motions and do the same thing. He was making adjustments. I was catching him with shots the first day we sparred. The second day we sparred, those shots were not landing. I had to figure something else out.
Errol Spence.
Exactly, yeah. People forget, they know he's a pressure fighter. He likes to work the body. He tries to...
Not because it was his only tool, but rather because it helped him succeed. That aggressive manner became his signature. That's a crucial reminder, in my opinion, since when a fighter uses one strategy to dominate, people frequently forget how many other skills are still available. Spence's resilience was also put to the test by Mendoza, who acknowledged that he delivered some powerful blows without witnessing him crumble. That was very noteworthy. Of course, sparring and fight night are two very distinct things, and nobody should mix them. However, first-hand experience is important. Mendoza's comparison of training camp to a game of chess rather than a straightforward altercation was the remark that stuck with me the most. Such compliments are rare among fighters. He left Houston with the impression that Spence was still more concerned with getting better every day than preserving his legacy. Therefore, Mendoza sees this return as something quite different from what many people perceive as a goodbye tour. While everyone else is attempting to write the conclusion before the story is complete, a former champion is quietly rebuilding himself.
One that's clocking in, trying to show up for a check and trying to be like, oh, let's see what we can do. Like he's fully locked in. He cares about improving each and every day, and that's what I respected. And at the end of the day, I even told him, when I was leaving that, I appreciate him having me out. That it was just fun, being in that type of high-level chess match again, where I can't just, I'm not just using the same bag of tricks every day. I have to go home from the sparring and think about, okay, well, what am I going to do next time? You caught me with this. Those are signs of someone that is really thinking still.
After Brian Mendoza concentrated on his experiences inside the ring, Greg Hackett drastically changed the topic. Greg wanted to talk about everything that was going on outside of it. It's interesting to note that he didn't want to choose a side just because he was being filmed. His regard for Derek James and Errol Spence was immediately apparent. Nevertheless, he feels that a lot of the criticism aimed at the trainer ignores the larger picture. He made a simple point: that a coach is no longer operating under ideal circumstances when a boxer is battling with injuries going into the biggest fight of his career. Many fans have a tendency to ignore the fact. Hackett keeps going back to the single word accountability. His message was unambiguous. A trainer has the ability to instruct, plan, and modify. However, Every choice a fighter makes after leaving the gym is ultimately their own.
We want to get sharp and we want to step on the gas. We also got to hold back because he injured. We don't want him to be more injured by the time we get to the fight. So, I mean, I think it plays a part more on Errol than it did Derrick James, because you already hurt. And on top of that, Derrick James is not responsible for when you leave the gym. That's not his. Whatever you do outside the gym, that's not his fault. You know what I'm saying? When you was in that car and you banged out and all that,
In your opinion, who wins? Let's start the conversation by leaving your guess in the comments section below. For more boxing news and updates, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you liked the video. I'll see you at the next.